Hello, my name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. A very good evening to you. And today on Worldview, British Prime Minister proposes to degrade Russia's capacity to regroup. EU ministers to finalize gas price cap deal. Netherlands set to formally apologize for 250 years of slavery. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First, on Worldview today, Russian President Vladimir Putin has landed in Minsk this afternoon for talks with his Belarusian counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko. It could be recalled that hours ahead of the visit, Belarus's defense ministry had completed a series of inspections of its armed forces' military preparedness. Weeks of military maneuvers and inspections have reportedly raised fears in Kiev that Belarus, which acted as a staging post once again. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry says its forces have shot down 4 U.S.-made HARM anti-radiation missiles over the Belgorod region, which borders Ukraine. The ministry said the shutdown took place in the space of 24 hours. The region's governor said 1 person had died and several were injured by Ukrainian shelling in the region. In a related development, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is calling on the West to work to degrade Russia's capability to regroup as it continues its war of aggression in Ukraine, citing the drones that Iran has been providing to Moscow. Sunak spoke at a summit of the Joint Expeditionary Force in the Latvian capital Riga. The British-led force is a group of 10 northern European nations designed to react more quickly in the event of threats like those now posed by Russia. Sunak also said it was important to maintain severe economic consequences for Russia. In the meantime, to bolster its counter-offensive against Russia, the package includes hundreds of thousands of rounds of artillery and aims to ensure a constant flow of critical artillery ammunition to Ukraine throughout 2023. This is according to a statement from the Prime Minister's office announced today. His office said Sunak will make the announcement during a summit of the Joint Expeditionary Force of Latvia. Now, still on the war in Ukraine, Austria has identified a 39-year-old Greek citizen they suspect of spying for Russia. The country noted that the suspect is the son of a former Russian spy who was once stationed in Germany and Austria as a diplomat. Austria's Interior Ministry made the announcement in a statement after an investigation conducted by its domestic intelligence agency in close international cooperation. The unnamed suspect was reportedly in contact with diplomats and intelligence officials from various countries and was in Moscow shortly before and during the military invasion of Ukraine by Russian forces. It said the suspect, who faces up to 5 years in prison for supporting a secret intelligence agency to the detriment of Austria, is not being remanded in custody, adding that the justice system would take undefined further steps. To more developments from the crisis, European Union ministers are meeting to finalize a long-awaited deal to implement a natural gas price cap that they hope can help households and businesses calm their differences at 5 previous emergency meetings. The 27 nations have not been able to close a deal on setting a price cap that had been promised in October as a way to reduce energy bills that have surged because of Russia's invasion. Meanwhile, Russian warships will participate in joint naval drills with China, showcasing increasingly close defense ties between the two countries as they face tensions with the United States. The Russian Defense Ministry said the Varyag missile cruiser, the Marshal Shaponchinov destroyer, and 2 corvettes of Russia's Pacific Fleet would take part in maneuvers in the East China Sea starting Wednesday. The ministry said the Chinese Navy planned to deploy several surface warships and a submarine for the exercise. According to the ministry, Russian and Chinese aircraft will also take part in the drills. In another development, officials from the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) have left Tehran today after talks with the head of Iran's nuclear energy organization. The delegation of the IAEA, led by its Deputy Director General for Safeguards, Massimo Aparo, had reportedly held negotiations with Iranians teams and met the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization, Mohammad al-Sami. The two sides exchanged views on future joint cooperation and programs, in addition to safeguarding issues. Speaking last week, al-Sami said he hoped the visit could help resolve outstanding issues between the two sides. Elsewhere, countries today approved a historic deal to reverse decades of environmental destruction, threatening the world's species and ecosystems at a marathon UN Biodiversity Summit. The chairman of the COP15 Nature Summit, Chinese Environment Minister Huang Runqiu, declared the deal adopted at a late-night plenary session in Montreal and struck his gavel, sparking loud applause from assembled delegates. In doing so, he overruled an objection from the Democratic Republic of Congo, which had refused to back the text demanding greater funding for developing countries as part of the accord. After 4 years of fraught negotiations, more than 190 other states rallied behind the Chinese-brokered accord aimed at saving the lands, oceans, and species from pollution, degradation, and the climate crisis. Away from that, North Korea has conducted a final phase test in the development of a military reconnaissance satellite, which the country plans to complete by April 2023. North Korean state media announced the development. The media outlet reported that North Korea's National Aerospace Development Administration had conducted the test at the country's Sohae satellite launching station in Chosun, in North Pyongan province. After the break, we'll report how court has backed UK plan to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. And now let's move on to Pakistan, where authorities have opened talks to try to resolve a standoff with attackers holding several security personnel hostage after seizing control of a counter-terrorism facility in the country's northwest. Security forces have reportedly surrounded the highly fortified military cantonment that houses the interrogation center in Banu district, where about 20 fighters from Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, also known as the Pakistani Taliban, hold up. Banu sits outside North Waziristan, a tribal-dominated district in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province that borders Afghanistan. The region has long been a safe haven for the Taliban fighters. In a separate development, Thai Navy ships and helicopters are continuing their search for more than 24 sailors who are still missing. This comes more than 12 hours after a HMS Sukhothai corvette had been rescued and 31 were still in the water as of noon. In Peru now, President Dina Boluarte, who is looking to lead a transitional government following the ouster of her predecessor, says she will replace the Prime Minister as part of a reshuffling of her cabinet. Recall that Boluarte was vice president until earlier this month, when her predecessor, former President Pedro Castillo, was removed from office and detained. Authorities said since assuming the new role, Boluarte's administration has been rocked by political turbulence and widespread protests, which have left at least 20 people dead. Boluarte said the cabinet changes will take place today and tomorrow. Elsewhere, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's motion of confidence has been passed in Parliament, winning vital backing from his premiership after an election last month returned an unprecedented hung Parliament. Anwar had convened Parliament today to prove his majority after rival and former Premier Muhyiddin Yassin cast doubt on his support. The confidence motion was passed by a simple voice vote Prime Minister by the monarch. The parties agreed to ensure political stability after years of turmoil, spur the economy, foster good governance, and uphold the rights of the country's majority Malay community and maintain Islam as its official religion. Now, in an effort to come to terms with its colonial past, the Dutch government is expected to apologize for the Netherlands' role in 250 years of slavery. The formal apology is set to be issued today and is expected to redress how the Netherlands exploited more than 600,000 people who worked as slaves in its former colonies. However, groups from former Dutch colonies like Suriname in South America have criticized the Dutch government's whimsical timing in issuing the apology, highlighting that they were not consulted about the date and also felt the decision was made in a haphazard and hurried manner. They would prefer the apology to be issued on July 1, 2023, a day which marks the 150th anniversary of the Netherlands abolishing slavery in its former colonies. Away from that, two High Court judges have ruled that the UK government's plan to send asylum seekers on a one-way trip to Rwanda is illegal, in a victory from backers of the controversial policy. However, the judges also said the government had failed to consider the circumstances of the individuals it tried to deport, signaling further legal battles ahead before anyone is put on a plane to East Africa. A further hearing is set for next month, and appeals are likely. Now, several asylum seekers, aid groups, and the Border Officials Union had filed lawsuits to stop the Conservative government acting on a deportation agreement with Rwanda that aims to deter migrants from crossing the English Channel in small boats. The UK plans to send some migrants who arrive in the UK as stowaways or in boats to the East African country where the asylum claims would be processed. Applicants granted asylum would stay in Rwanda rather than return to the UK. Now, in Norway, King Harald will remain in hospital for a few days following an infection, but his condition is stable. The royal household confirmed the news about the 85-year-old king. A statement noted that the king was admitted to Oslo's University Hospital for treatment with intravenous antibiotics. Reports say Harald has suffered health problems recently. The king also underwent surgery in 2003 for bladder cancer and another operation in 2005 for heart valve problems. The former Olympic yachtsman has refused to abdicate and even took part in the World Sailing Championships in late July. Now, in health, the Chinese mainland has recorded 1,995 new confirmed COVID-19 cases, with 1,918 attributed to local transmissions and 77 from overseas. This is according to the data from the National Health Commission showed today. The cumulative number of confirmed cases on the Chinese mainland is 380,453, with the death toll from COVID-19 standing at 5,237. In business, Twitter users have voted to oust controversial owner Elon Musk as CEO in a poll he organized and promised to honor just weeks after he took charge of the social media giant. A total of 57.5% of more than 17 million accounts voted for him to step down. Musk took over Twitter on October 27 and has repeatedly courted controversy, sacking half of its staff, readmitting far-right figures to the platform, banning journalists, and trying to charge for previously free services. Analysts have also pointed out that the stock price of Tesla has slumped by 1/3 since the Twitter takeover. And finally, on network, The European Commission made this known in a preliminary finding. It said the Commission takes issue with Meta tying its online classified ad service, Facebook Marketplace, to its personal social network, Facebook. According to reports, the Commission, which regulates for the 27-nation European Union, has had several run-ins with Meta and other big tech companies over their practices. Its policy arsenal has been beefed up this year with two new pieces of EU legislation: the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act, that carry massive financial penalties in the event of infringement. And with that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. I am Xavier Roberts, reaching you from the beautiful hills of Ibiakaran, and you've been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.